to thank you for sending such a principled, values-based, effective champion for working families in our Congress, in our country, to the Congress of the United States. Thank you for sending Alan Grayson to Congress. Described is what happened in the Congress when President Obama was president was something that he was very much a part of, setting a high standard for all of us to do more, to think bigger and bolder. He never wanted to have us have a common denominator that was the lowest common denominator, but the boldest, strongest common denominator that we could all support. So he is a great and exceptional member of Congress. I know you respect him. I want you to know how respected he is in the Congress and across the country. I told some friends earlier today that every place I go in the country, people ask me about Alan Grayson and their support to him. I thank you. It's my honor to be here with all of you, with your presenters and others who will be presenting. I guess thank you, Stephanie, for your leadership of Florida Institute for Reform and Empowerment. FIRE. Lisa Lopez, Ellen Rowe, thank you for presiding. Thank you for presiding. And Mayor, you're from the, who's from the university? From the
Maida.
Maida. And thank you so much. I'm going to Puerto Rico this afternoon. I'm only going to be there for one day. We're going to have a conference such as this about women, focusing particularly on violence against women and women's security. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'll be happy to tell them that I was with the Ana G. Mendez University System auspices for this wonderful event. Denise Diaz, Gina Tosh, and I'm going to say this again, Maritza. Yes, Maritza-san. Thank you all. So when I heard about this conference, I said, may I talk to them about what we have listened to women around the country, and they have told us makes the biggest difference for them in unleashing the power of women in our economy, in our society. What women have told us across the country is what I see on the walls here. They have told us three things, and that makes up our when women succeed, America succeeds. Of course, issues like violence against women's personal security, women's right to choose, all of that are part of our agenda. But on this particular economic piece, an economic agenda for women and families. Our title, When Women Succeed, America Succeeds, as I said enough time, it's not just a title, it's a statement of absolute fact. Now, the Congressman talked about the improvements that have happened in the economy under President Obama, but our people still have great uncertainty about their own financial stability. What is the best thing that we can do for our economy to make it stronger, make it grow, make it fairer, unleash the power of women in our economy? Other countries know this. You see Japan having massive programs for child care so that women can be in the workplace and not worry about home every single moment. Heads of state have told me from all over the world. What we're going to do to grow our economy is involve women more. So here are the three things. First of all, value work. Equal pay for equal work.
Right on.
And by the way, across the country, everybody shares the view. But not in Congress. So that's our challenge. So we have to make sure that public opinion is clear, so that people who represent people will know that they share equal pay for equal work and raise the minimum wage. Over 60-some% of the people making the minimum wage are women. And I will say that on both of those scores, no institution has done more than organized labor to make sure that there's equal pay for equal work for women in the workplace. So pay. The second leg of the stool, earn sick time. This is so huge. And you know what? It helps men too. It helps families. I've had men say, my colleagues, some of them come up to me and say, I have had to take more time off for work to care for a sick parent than I ever did for a sick child. So it's about family, children, parents, siblings, whatever. And the third piece of it, which I believe is the missing link in the evolution of women in the workplace, affordable, quality childcare. Children learning, parents earning. And this is really important for the development of the child. Science tells us how children's brains develop. Thank you for bringing your precious manifestation of the future. That's how adorable. How adorable. What bigger responsibility do we have than to make sure that all children in America, every child in America, has opportunity, and that starts at the earliest age. Now, presidents of universal preschool is really important. We need to go younger and younger than that, and even the universal preschool has been rejected by some economies. So you do those things. You give financial stability, stronger, firmer financial stability to women. The contribution that we will make to the economy, to our society, it's all very, very important. And it's important to America's families. And why are some of these important? Look, I, as I say, listen to women all over the country come and say, this is what this means to me, and we'll hear your stories. One of the first meetings we had was in New Haven, Connecticut. Rosa DeLauro, who is really the godmother of all of this. She's just been on this track for a very long time. And this woman got up and she said, they asked me to tell you my story, how I was a single mom and how I didn't have work and this and that and that. But she said, instead, I'm going to tell you what I see. Because I now have a job, my stability is stronger, and I have a job as a school bus driver. And every day of work, I know what I'm going to see out there. I'm going to pull up to a curb, and there'll be a mom with tears in her eyes because she's putting a sick child on the bus. She has no choice. She's in a minimum wage job. She can't take time off because she'll be docked her pay. And if she takes too many days off, even though she can't afford to, she pretty soon won't have a job. She has no sick leave, not one day, and childcare is totally out of reach and unaffordable for her. So a sick child gets on the bus, not good for that child, and not good for the other children on the bus and when the child goes to school. How could this happen in the greatest country that ever existed in the history of the world, that we don't enable people to take care of their children? Not to even mention mentoring them, aside from being sick, mentoring their children, having time instead of holding on to minimum wage jobs. And it used to be, years ago, the minimum wage enabled you to afford a life. And now, two wage earners in a family of four, you're below the poverty line and qualify for food stamps. You know that that's an indecent wage, and we have got to raise the minimum wage. One of the first things we did when we took the majority was to raise the minimum wage. President Bush signed it. We raised, but it's time to do it again. That was what, 07, and now it'll be coming up to 015. 8 years ago, you have to raise the minimum wage. You have to really index it, but it wouldn't go that far with us. And this early childhood for the kids. So another place we went, a woman got up and she said, they told me to tell my story. 5 kids, English as a second language, single mom, you know this, you know the story. And so she said, now I'm good. I have a job, I just promoted to supervisor in my job, good with my kids, all the rest. But I was scared to come here and speak to these women about my story when they all had their own stories. So I said to my kids, let me practice on you last night. So I talked to the kids, her 5 kids sitting there, and now they've all been through Head Start. She was a strong advocate for Head Start. And they get to the end of it, and Mom says, any questions, any comments? And a 4-year-old raises her hand, and she said, Mom, I just have one question for you. Who gave you permission to use my name in your speech? Go, girl. Self-esteem, confidence. Well, that's a girl. Think of the difference, Head Start, and all that meant for her, and then we have to face cuts in budget because it's going to save money. No, nothing brings more money to the Treasury of the United States than the investment in education of the American people from the earliest childhood education, K through 12, higher education, post-grad, lifetime learning, training across the board for job training. Nothing brings more money to the Treasury. So you want to reduce the deficit, you invest in education. You want to increase the deficit, you take money away from education, earliest childhood education included. So what you are doing is so important for families, for children, for moms, for families, and for America. If this were about keeping America #1, we could do nothing better than an agenda about fairness in wages, paid sick leave, and affordable quality child care. We just had the woman who is the chair of the Federal Reserve Bank. Janet Yellen is her name. The most prestigious job for a woman to have in the world, short of when we get a president of the United States, which hopefully will be soon. We gave a reception for her honoring her appointment by President Obama. And she said, the greatest contribution to the economic success of the United States of America in the last half of the 20th century was women in the workplace. But we must do more. And that is what you are doing. And what we're saying is we have a bill to match every one of these agendas, to raise the minimum wage, equal pay for equal work, the paid sick leave is called the Family Act. We have the Strong Start, which is the early childhood education. And we just have to make sure that people who represent us in Congress or in other elected bodies know that women are watching. We're tired of waiting. We're watching and we're organizing and we're mobilizing. As I said, as Alan hears me, Congressman Grayson hears me say all the time, we don't agonize, we organize. We want everybody to know that whatever the results are of elections, one thing has to be clear. Our children, our families, our women have to be winners in conveying to everyone how we see the future. And I thank you for what you are doing and the organizers I know there are many groups who are part of this and that many of you are leaders of those organizations and you do this on a daily basis. We want you to know that there is a drumbeat across America. Hundreds of these kinds of meetings are going on across America. And then I'll just close by saying you can share your personal story. There's nothing stronger than your personal story of challenges in the home or workplace at womensucceed.dems.gov. You should have this. And then tweet why the Women's Economic Agenda is so important to you. It's all here. You have these cards.
Right over there.
Okay, right there. So you have it. But join in because the numbers, the drum, the echo chamber, the inevitability of this. What are we saying? That we shouldn't be educating our children? That if they get sick, we should put them on a bus sick? That when we go to work, we should make less than men for the same job? And that we should have a minimum wage that is not minimum in any respect, it's below par in terms of what it enables families to do. Financial stability. It's a great liberator. It's a money, consumer power. This is the power that women will continue to exert in our economy. So I thank you for the role that you have, and I want to listen to your panel so I can tell their stories as I go around the country, perhaps even in Puerto Rico tomorrow. So thank you all very much.